Muhammad Ali. Maybe one of the greatest boxing world champions to ever live. But who was Muhammad Ali? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Muhammad Ali was born with the name Cassius Clay. He was a boxer from Louisville, Kentucky. He began training as a boxer at the age of 12, and by the time he was 18, he had already won the Golden Gloves tournament for novice boxers in the light heavyweight division. In 1960, he won the Olympic gold medal in the light heavyweight division, and shortly thereafter, he turned professional. In 1964, at the age of 22, he shocked the world by winning the heavyweight championship from Sonny Liston. He was known for his quick footwork, his ability to float like a butterfly, and sting like a bee, and his brash, confident personality. He was also known for his political activism, particularly his opposition to the Vietnam War, and his public stance on civil rights. Throughout his career, Ali remained one of the most recognized and influential figures in the world. He was a three-time heavyweight champion and was considered one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. Ali retired from boxing in 1981, but he will always be remembered as one of the most iconic sports figures of the 20th century. Muhammad Ali had many notable fights throughout his career. But some of his most famous and significant bouts include the fight of the century, as people called it, against Joe Frazier in 1971. This was Ali's first fight after a 3-year hiatus due to his draft evasion conviction. He lost the fight in a unanimous decision, but it was one of the most heavily hyped and watched fights in the history of boxing. And one of my personal favorites of all time. The Rumble in the Jungle, against George Foreman in 1974. This fight was held in Zaire, which is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Ali pulled off one of the greatest upsets in sports history by knocking out the heavily favored Foreman to regain the heavyweight title. Muhammad Ali had a relatively normal childhood growing up. He was the eldest of 2 boys born to Cassius Marcellus Clay Sr. and Odessa Grady Clay. His father was a painter and signs maker, and his mother was a domestic worker. Growing up, Ali was known to be a playful and energetic child, who loved to play sports. He was also a good student and had a passion for reading. However, his childhood was not without challenges. He had a difficult relationship with his father, who was often away from home and had a gambling problem. He also experienced racism and discrimination in his community, which were common in the United States during that time. It was at the age of 12, when his bike was stolen, that he was first exposed to boxing. He was furious and went to the local police station to report the stolen bike. There, he met a police officer named Joe Martin, who was a former boxer himself and suggested that he should try boxing as a way to channel his anger and energy. That was the start of his boxing career. He began training at the gym and quickly fell in love with the sport. He would spend hours at the gym, honing his skills, and eventually went on to become a successful amateur boxer. Overall, Ali's childhood was relatively normal, but his passion and talent for boxing, as well as the support of his family and community, helped him overcome the challenges he faced, and set him on the path to becoming one of the most iconic and influential figures in the world.
And when I do come back, if I ever do, I'll have more of a hunger or determination, which is something you lose in the intoxication of so-called greatness.
Muhammad Ali, I am told, suffered a broken jaw in the first round. Nobody can really believe what they have seen. It is a tired Ali and a hurt Ali.
Frank Rustich, 7 points Norton, 5 points Ali.
There it is! There it is! One of the greatest upsets again in boxing.
You're too ugly to represent us colored folks. These Africans, they all bust ugly. Sucker, look at you. How you out, sucker?
Muhammad Ali changed his name from Cassius Clay in 1964, after joining the Nation of Islam, a religious and political movement also known as the Black Muslims. The Nation of Islam believed in the separation of black and white Americans, and rejected the slave names that many African Americans had been given by their slave masters. Clay met Malcolm X, a leader of the Nation of Islam, in 1962 and became interested in the movement's message of black empowerment and self-reliance. After winning the heavyweight championship from Sonny Liston in 1964, Clay announced that he had joined the Nation of Islam and had changed his name to Muhammad Ali. He stated that his new name represented his rejection of his slave name and his embrace of his African heritage. He said that the name change was a symbol of his spiritual and political transformation, and that he wanted to be known by the name that his ancestors were given at birth and not the one that was imposed on them during the slave trade. The name change was met with controversy and criticism, and Ali faced backlash from many in the boxing community and the broader public, but he stood firm in his decision, and over time, the name Muhammad Ali became synonymous with one of the greatest and most iconic sports figures of all time, as well as a symbol of black pride and civil rights activism. Muhammad Ali died on June 3, 2016, at the age of 74. He died from complications related to Parkinson's disease, which he had been diagnosed with in 1984. Parkinson's disease is a degenerative disorder of the nervous system that affects movement, and Ali's condition had gradually worsened over the years, affecting his speech and mobility. Ali had been in and out of the hospital in the months leading up to his death, and had been hospitalized with a respiratory issue. He died at a hospital in Phoenix, Arizona, surrounded by his family. His death was met with an outpouring of grief and tributes from around the world, as people remembered him not only as a legendary boxer but also as a civil rights activist and cultural icon. He was honored with a public funeral in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, which was attended by thousands of people and dignitaries, including former President Bill Clinton and comedian Billy Crystal. Muhammad Ali will always be remembered as one of the greatest boxers of all time, but also for his impact outside of the ring, as a social and political activist, and for his humanitarian work. Thanks for watching. Please like and comment if you enjoyed this video.